لله كل قلب عين ترعى عينا وعين الله ترعى كلمة طيبة صدقة تبسمك لأخيك صدقة كل معروف صدقة اللهم اشفي شفاء لا يغادر سقما اللهم اشفي شفاء لا يغادر سقما اللهم اشفي شفاء.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم لك الحمد كما أنت أهله فصل على سيدنا محمد كما أنت أهله وافعل بنا ما أنت أهله إنك أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. My dear friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the series of business talks sponsored by Yaqeenschool. In today's program, we are going to see something related to the environments where the businesses of today are operating. For a business person to make successful and effective decisions, it is very important to consider about the environment where the business is operating. The environment earlier, that means some years ago, and the environment of today are very different from each other. Initially, we will see what those differences are, and thereafter we will see what type of environments are there and what are the aspects to be considered in making our business decisions, and then how important it is or why it is important for us to consider the factors in the internal and external environment of the business. So my dear friends, when we look at the basic needs, for example, there was a time where they were satisfied by a minimum level of provision. But where we see today, you see, we are thinking about basic needs at a higher level. For example, food, for example, shelter, for example, the clothing, for example, the traveling or the vehicles that we use for traveling. How much of changes are there today? Earlier, you see, when building a house, you did not have to consider so many factors in making a decision on how to build the house, where to build the house, what factors to be taken in building the house. But taking the present day's context, we see that there are so many matters to be taken into our vital consideration. So the first difference is that the environment of today and the environment some time ago, when we look at these two environments comparatively, basic needs were considered at a minimum level before some years, but now in today's context, they are considered at a higher level. Similarly, when you look at the needs and wants of the people, they were very simple at one time, but not now. Now we see that they are given thought in a complex context. Think about the food that we eat, think about the clothing that we wear, think about the vehicles that we travel, think about the materials that we use. These all were, you see, considered at a very simple level many years ago or in the previous environment, but in today's dynamic business environment, they are considered at a very complex level. So what I want you to understand, my dear friends, is that the environment of today is very vast and very dynamic, and therefore the same thinking that you had in running your business many years ago, or what your fathers and grandparents had in running their businesses, have to be changed. The way that we look at things have to change. The attitude has to change. So that hopefully, inshallah, we'll be able to have a broader view of the future of our business and make very effective decisions. Now we will take another difference. The availability of goods and services, they were very limited at one time. Limited number of brands were there. But today you go to a supermarket and see how many brands of biscuits are there, how many brands of milk powder is there, how many brands of coconut oil is there, how many brands of washing powder is there, how many brands of paracetamol is there. So many brands, they are produced by many different companies. Each of them try to make variations and differentiation in the products that they produce. So we are living in such a very competitive environment. If you look at the competition between the organizations or among the organizations in the market, it's drastically higher than what was there in the past. In the past, there were so many monopolies. A few people were supplying goods and services, whereas today there are so many competitors to supply. And in the past, we know that the businessmen, they were aiming at profit. They were always thinking of maximizing profit. Business means sales, and sales means profit. This was the concept long ago, but we look at a different way of thinking now. How is that? Business has multiple objectives. Okay, you have to maximize the shareholders' wealth, and the profitability has to be increased therefore. But in the meantime, you have other responsibilities also. You have to make sure that your customer is satisfied. You have to make sure that your customer is retained. The customer purchases your product, the customer enjoys your service or obtains your service, and he or she got fed up, and then he goes away. Then this is not a successful business, even though you make profit now. Therefore, the objectives that we have to consider have become higher in number than the previous times. Now you have to consider customer satisfaction along with your profit. You have a social responsibility. You have to make sure that you don't harm the society, you don't harm the environment, and you always try to benefit the environment and the society living in that environment. These are very important to be considered. And the power generally is now not with the businesses but with the customers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made such a change in the world today. Customers have become a powerful factor in determining the performance and the results of a business. Suppose a company is there, they are doing business, and because of this business they make big profits, but in the meantime they damage the environment. Now customers decide, oh, this company is not good because they are damaging the environment, they are causing some harm to the society, and therefore we all have to get together, and together we have to boycott their product or service. What can you do, my respected friends? Therefore, it is very important to make sure that you understand that the customers are a powerful force associated with your business. So when comparing with the previous times, with the situations now, we have to understand that the base of power has shifted from businesses to customers. And then you see the coverage of the business. When you think about this, we know that earlier in the past, the businesses were covering a small area or small region or a small territory, but today it has become a global market. The whole world has become, linked or related. You see, when something happens in one part of the world, immediately affects or impacts on the other part of the world. The markets have become integrated with each other, so that the market is very sensitive for something that is taking place in one corner of the world. It impacts in many different places in the world. In the same way, my respected friends, businesses have started taking a global view. I don't have to market my product only in Sri Lanka. I don't have to market this product only in my country. I can also market my product in many different countries. There are mediums available, there are channels available, there are sources available. So why not I consider all these sources and try to expand my business? Many people who are doing business in a small scale or medium scale or large scale, everybody has started thinking about doing business globally. So that is another drastic change or vast change in the thinking and attitude of the business that we notice or observe today. And at one time in the past, the speed of change in the business environment was very low. Hardly you had changes. If a company was supplying a car, the car had been supplied for a long time. The same car had been supplied over a longer period of time. And seldom there were changes. Really there had been changes. But today, the features that you have in your car, in your phone, in your laptop, in your tab, in your equipment, whatever that you have, the features of today are not there tomorrow. Tomorrow something else has come. Something new has come. And what you are expecting tomorrow cannot be expected to last for a longer period of time, because maybe day after tomorrow something else will come and overtake the present products. Therefore, you see the product life cycle, when you see the stages that are experienced by a product in the market, we see introduction, then there's a growth phase, then maturity, and then there's a decline. So the product life cycle of the products and services, this has become shorter today. This has become shorter. They don't take a longer period of time. So a product that was introduced recently got introduced, started growing because people started purchasing it. Many customers were there rushing towards buying this product. Then the product reached a maturity level, and after some time the product starts declining in the market. This does not take a lot of time now. There was a time where these phases were taking a longer span of time, and therefore you were able to do business peacefully. Really, there have been changes. But today it is not so. It has become a little bit stressful as well. Unless you plan, okay, before your product starts declining, what should you do? You have to make sure that you go to the next stage or next phase of business. Introduce the new version. Introduce a product with new features. Introduce something new so that when this initial product declines, you already have something new, and this has to be a continuous procedure. So my respected brothers and friends, we have to make sure that we have a broad view of thinking. Broad horizon of thinking is very important for a business. Don't limit your thinking within a circle. This is called thinking within the box. This must not be there. Instead, what should we do? We have to think out of the box, and we have to keep on looking for opportunities. When you keep on looking for opportunities, you see, first of all, this is the main requirement. You have to make sure that you have the feeling that I have to look for opportunities. I have to change, I have to improve, I have to win, I have to achieve, I have to succeed. This feeling, this thinking, this talking must be there, so that gateways will be open for you, new openings will be becoming available for you, so that you can make use of those new opportunities and openings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of us and show us the guidance necessary for us to succeed in this world as well as in the hereafter all the times. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us victorious in this world and the hereafter. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You are very special. There's no one just like you. Created by the Master, Allah created you. You are very special, exclusively designed. You are very special, and I'm so glad you're mine. You were made by Allah. He fashioned your heart. You were made by Allah. He knew you from the start. You were made by Allah. Unique in all your ways. You were made by Allah, to praise Him all your days.